Let me ask you something honest. How many decisions did you make this week based on what other people might think? What you wore to that meeting? What you posted on social media or didn't post? What you said in that conversation? Or more likely, what you didn't say because you were worried about judgment. Maybe you have a dream you're not pursuing, an idea you're not sharing, a truth you're not speaking, a life you're not living. Why? Because of what they might think, whoever they are. Here's the hard truth. You're living in a prison. And the bars? They're made of other people's opinions. Opinions that, most of the time, don't even exist except in your own mind. But what if I told you that 1,900 years ago, a man who was born a slave discovered the secret to complete freedom from this prison? His name was Epictetus, born into slavery in ancient Rome, physically disabled, owned by another human being. He had every reason to feel powerless, to care desperately about what his masters thought, to live in fear of others' opinions. But Epictetus discovered something that set him free, not just from slavery, but from something far more binding, the need for other people's approval. He became one of the most influential philosophers in history. Even Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, studied his teachings. And the method Epictetus used to break free from the prison of others' opinions, it's shockingly simple. Almost too simple. But it works. Welcome back to the Reflection Room. I'm so glad you're here. In our last reflection, we explored the dichotomy of control, understanding what we can and cannot control. Today, we're going deeper. We're applying that wisdom to the one thing that steals more peace, joy, and authenticity from our lives than almost anything else: our obsession with what other people think. By the end of this video, you'll have Epictetus's exact method for breaking free. And I'm going to be honest, this might challenge you. But if you're tired of living for an invisible audience, stay with me. Let's step into the reflection room. First, let's understand why we care so much about others' opinions. Because here's the thing, it's not entirely your fault. Humans are social creatures. For thousands of years, being rejected by the tribe meant death. We're literally wired to care what the group thinks. Your brain evolved this way as a survival mechanism. But here's what's changed. We no longer live in small tribes of 50 people. We live in a world of thousands of opinions flying at us every single day. Social media, family, colleagues, strangers on the internet. Everyone has thoughts about how you should live your life. And your brain, still running on ancient tribal software, treats every potential disapproval like a life or death threat. So you lie awake at night replaying that conversation. You obsess over that comment. You change who you are, dim your light, hide your truth. All to avoid the imagined judgment of people who are probably too busy worrying about what you think of them to even notice. Epictetus saw this clearly. He wrote, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Think about that. He's not saying, try to convince people you're not foolish. He's saying, be content being thought foolish. In other words, let them think whatever they want. But how? How do you actually do that when your brain is screaming, they're judging you? That's where the method comes in. X. Epictetus's method is built on 3 truths, not theories. Truths. Facts about reality that, once you truly understand them, dissolve the power of others' opinions like sunlight dissolving fog. Truth number 1, you cannot control what people think. This is the foundation. Go back to the dichotomy of control. What people think about you is 100% outside your control. Completely. Entirely. Not even a little bit in your control. You can be the kindest person in the world, and someone will think you're fake. You can be confident, and someone will call you arrogant. You can be humble, and someone will think you're weak. You literally cannot control it. Even if you could read their mind, you couldn't change it. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Someone's opinion of you, that's something happening to you. Your reaction, that's the only thing that matters. Truth number 2. Most people's opinions are reflections of themselves, not you. Here's something that changed my life when I really understood it. When someone judges you harshly, 99% of the time, they're projecting their own insecurities, fears, and pain onto you. The person who criticizes your ambition, they're probably afraid of their own dreams. The person who mocks your vulnerability, they're terrified of their own emotions. The person who judges your appearance, they're at war with their own body. Epictetus knew this. He said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them." Their judgment isn't about you. It's about the lens through which they see the world, a lens shaped by their wounds, their fears, their unhealed pain. Does that mean their opinion doesn't hurt? No. But it does mean it's not true. It's just their opinion, based on their stuff, not on your reality. Truth number 3. The only opinion that defines you is your own. This is the one that sets you free. Epictetus asked, "Who are you trying to please?" Are you trying to please the critic? You'll fail. There will always be another. Are you trying to please everyone? Impossible. They all want different things. Or are you trying to live in alignment with your own values, your own truth, your own understanding of who you want to be? Only one of these paths leads to freedom. The moment you decide that your opinion of yourself matters more than anyone else's opinion of you, everything shifts. Not in an arrogant way, in a grounded way. You become the authority on your own life. Okay, so how do you actually practice this? How do you stop caring what people think when your brain has been wired for decades to obsess over it? Here's Epictetus's practical framework. I use this myself, and it works. Step 1. Notice the thought. The moment you catch yourself thinking, "What will they think?" or replaying a conversation, or imagining judgment, pause. Don't judge yourself for having the thought. Just notice it. "Oh, I'm worrying about their opinion again." Awareness is the first step to freedom. Step 2. Ask the dichotomy question. Can I control what this person thinks about me? The answer is always no. Always. So why are you giving mental energy to something you cannot control? Step 3. Redirect to what you can control. Ask yourself, what can I control in this situation? You can control. Whether you acted in alignment with your values, whether you were honest and kind, whether you gave your best effort, how you speak to yourself about this situation, what you do next. Focus 100% of your energy there. Let everything else go. Step 4. Practice the Epictetus perspective shift. This is powerful. When you're worried about someone's judgment, imagine Epictetus standing next to you, asking, "Why are you giving a stranger, or even a friend, the power to define your worth? If they disapprove, how does that change who you actually are? Will their opinion matter in 5 years, in 50 years, in 500 years? This isn't about not caring at all. It's about caring about the right things. Caring about your character, not your reputation. Your integrity, not your image. Step 5. Take action aligned with your values anyway. This is the crucial part. You don't wait until you feel confident. You don't wait until the fear of judgment goes away. You feel the fear. You acknowledge the risk of judgment. And then you act anyway, aligned with your values. Want to share your art? Share it, even if they might not like it. Want to set a boundary? Set it, even if they might be upset. Want to pursue that dream? Pursue it, even if they might think you're crazy. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Know who you want to be. Then do what that person would do, regardless of the opinions." Here's what happened to Epictetus when he practiced this, and here's what will happen to you. He went from being a slave, literally owned by another person, to being so free in his mind that he could say, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. No man is free who is not master of himself." He wasn't free because his circumstances changed. He was free because he stopped letting other people's opinions control him. And you know what's beautiful? When you stop performing for an invisible audience, you start living your actual life. You say the thing you were afraid to say, and you realize the world doesn't end. In fact, the people who matter respect you more for your honesty. You pursue the dream you were hiding, and you realize the critics were mostly in your own head, and the ones who do criticize, they fade into irrelevance. You set the boundary you were avoiding, and you realize healthy people respect boundaries. Unhealthy people resist them, and that's actually useful information. Freedom isn't the absence of judgment. People will always have opinions. Freedom is knowing that their opinions have no power over who you choose to be. Marcus Aurelius, who studied Epictetus, wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." What if you flipped that? What if you cared about your own opinion of yourself as much as you currently care about theirs? What would you do differently? Who would you become? So here's my invitation to you. And I'll be honest, I'm extending this invitation to myself as much as to you. Today, do one thing you've been avoiding because of what they might think. Not something reckless, not something harmful, something true, something aligned with who you actually want to be. Maybe it's posting that creative work. Maybe it's having that honest conversation. Maybe it's wearing what you actually want to wear. Maybe it's saying no when you want to say no. Maybe it's saying yes when you've been too afraid. One thing, where you act based on your values, not their opinions. And here's what you'll discover. The fear of judgment is almost always worse than the actual judgment. And even when the judgment comes, it has no real power over you unless you give it that power. Epictetus lived this truth so deeply that even as a slave, he was freer than the emperors who owned property and armies, but were enslaved by the need for approval. You have that same freedom available to you, right now, today. Not when you're more confident, not when you're more successful, not when you've proven yourself to them. Now, because freedom isn't something you earn from others. It's something you claim for yourself. If this resonates with you, if you're ready to stop living for an invisible audience and start living for yourself, join me in the reflection room. Subscribe for more ancient wisdom that actually sets you free in modern life. And here's my question for you. What's one thing you've been afraid to do because of what people might think? Share it in the comments. Let's normalize being honest about this struggle. I read every comment, and I'm right there with you, practicing this alongside you. Until next time, remember, you are not here to live up to anyone else's expectations. You are here to live your truth, and that's more than enough. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing freedom. See you in the next reflection.